From its time as an island to an amazing history of peace, stay tuned to number 1 to find out 10 incredible facts about India. Number 10. India was once an island. Starting off, let's talk about India as a literal country. As in, it's a piece of land that many people live on. India as a country is one of the largest in the world, and it has the second largest population in the world. Another key fact about India is that it's built into other countries like Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, and even China. But apparently, it wasn't always that way. For once upon a time, when dinosaurs still roamed the earth, India was a massive island. And I do mean that literally. You could liken it to Australia in its independence from land. While all of what is now China wasn't part of that island, a decent-sized chunk most certainly was. Just as unusual, it didn't start as an island. It was part of a supercontinent called Gondwana, but then it broke off. Then as the world started to change, India drifted and drifted and drifted until it finally crashed into Asia. This collision was important for numerous reasons, not the least of which was that the collision itself is what created the Himalayan mountain range. While obviously we don't have any eyewitness documentation of this happening since we weren't there is some evidence via fossils and bones to point to this happening. Number 9. Vegetarian anyone? You are what you eat, and for every single country on this earth, there are different styles of foods, preferences, and beliefs as to what you should eat and more. And for India, a lot of people, both within the country and immigrants in other countries, have a preferred style of eating, being a vegetarian. An odd choice? Perhaps, but it's actually tied to their history of nonviolence, led by the great Gandhi, and they have extended that nonviolence to the animals under their care. Thus, they won't strike down an animal to get its meat. Most times. Now, let's play a little game. How much of the world's population of vegetarians are Indian? Oh wait, say your answer. 10%? Nope, higher. 25%? Nope, gotta go higher. 60%. Getting closer. The answer is an astounding 70% of vegetarians. Think about that. Think about the billions of people in this world, all of whom have a choice to be vegetarian, and yet it's India and its people that do it the most. Pretty astounding, huh? Number 8. The land without slavery. Before we talk about this amazing fact, take a moment to like this video and join the Zero to Hero community by subscribing below. Be sure to click that little notification bell too so you will always be notified of our newest videos. Without a doubt, one of the biggest blights on the human race is the concept of slavery. The belief that one race is so superior to another that they have the right to take that lesser race as property, to sell them and make them work for nothing but the right to live. Slavery has been a blight on many nations over the millennia, and sadly, some still employ it today in roundabout ways. But interestingly enough, India has never had it at all. In fact, when the ancient Greeks found out about India, they did some research, and the Greeks, who had used slaves, found out that the concept had never been employed in the country. While this is something to be praised, no doubt, it is something to think about in terms of how this happened. Again, India is a country with one of the largest populations in the world, so for it to have so many people and yet not employ slavery, it's astounding. Yes, as the history of India has shown, there has been oppression, especially from England, but not in the way of slavery. They actually employed the caste system, which was technically a different philosophy, but it makes you wonder. If the world had taken the approach of India, how much of history would have been radically altered? Number 7. The land of post offices. Here's a very weird fact for you that has many layers. The Postal Service is a very important, yet very underappreciated part of human life. They deliver mail and packages to people all over the world, and each country is held together by the post office in many ways. When it comes to India, that's especially true, because they have the largest postal service in the world today. That's right, it's even bigger than China's. How many post offices are there in India? Well, how about 155,015? Each one of these post offices serves a population of a little over 7,000 people. Oh, but that's not the weird bit. Well, I guess it is a weird bit in context. But the weird part is that one of those post offices is floating. You know, like out in the middle of a lake. You'll find it in Dal Lake, Srinagar. And just to make sure that it's not missed, there's a sign on it that says Floating Post Office. It was created in 2011, and I want to know how the conversation went in regards to how it was approved, because I'm sure that someone was drinking that day. Number 6. A nation of religion. One of the things that most definitely separates India from the rest of the world is their divine belief in belief. Like many countries, India openly allows their people, both residents and visitors, to practice their beliefs in religions. In fact, it's because of their beliefs that they not only have fought for their peace, but remain a very peaceful nation, which I'll get to later. What's surprising though is the divide in terms of what people practice. For example, 81% of India's population practice Hinduism. That's over 1 billion people aligning their beliefs with Hinduism. That's a lot of people. In fact, there are only 3 nations in the world where Hinduism is the leading religion, and the others are very small countries like Nepal and Mauritius. I'm not done though, because there's another weird fact in regards to India and their religions. It is India that has the most mosques in the world today. Yeah, that's right, India has more mosques than any Muslim nation in the world. How many do they have? 300,000. Belief is a very powerful thing in India. Number 5. My money. Currency is a very important thing in every single nation in the world. It's what can help dictate your status as well as allow you to get the things you need to survive. India is no different. It's actually very interesting how alike they are with their money in regards to other nations. For not unlike the United States, they have a lot of rich citizens. Charts even say there are over 1 million people in India that are millionaires. And it's likely even more now. But in contrast, within the entire population of India, 35% of people are below the poverty line. That may not be weird on its own, but when you add that to the restrictions on taking money out of the country, that's where things get odd. It's actually illegal for anyone not from India to take Indian currency out of the country. There are many reasons why India might have this law. One of them might be how they view their money as sacred in their own way. Or it could be simple economics, or if it's taken out of the country, it could be used against them. Number 4. The Cursed River. Superstition is a powerful thing, and because of it, it can make an entire nation of people fall to their knees in fear. In India, this has never been more prevalent than in the tale of the Cursed River. While it's not known exactly where it is, everyone who's heard of this river knows to stay away from it. Ironically though, there are people who live near the river, and because of that, they eat food in its dehydrated state instead of cooking them via the water. You can't help but wonder, what caused the people to think that this river was cursed? Did something happen there? Did someone pass away there? Did a lot of people pass away there? And most importantly, is it really even cursed? Number 3. Defenders, not invaders. Human remains found in India have been dated back 30,000 years. And within those thousands of years, they've had a lot of stories to tell. Stories of war, oppression, subjugation, resistance, freedom, and expansion. But one word you'll never hear out of their mouths when they recount their history is the term invader. At least not when they're talking about themselves. For you see, while India has been invaded many times, India has never invaded another country. Think about that for a second. This means that in 30,000 years of life, the Indian people never got the notion of taking land or expanding beyond its borders. They've defended their borders, and they've even done wrong in enforcing those borders, but they've never, ever invaded another country for the pursuit of land or riches. It's another thing that makes you wonder, why is it that these people, who again have an enormous population, never had the notion of taking over another country, or even just seizing a small part of it? If only other nations and empires had this same notion. Number 2. Can you understand me? When you travel to another country, especially one that is far away from yours, you run into a very fundamental problem. You're not in the land where your native tongue is spoken most times. Yeah, there are exceptions, but you know what I mean. So if you were born in America and then you went to India, you would expect to hear a lot of languages and none of them would be English, right? Wrong. In fact, India is the second most populous nation of English-speaking people in the world. Over 125 million people in India know how to speak English. That's about 10% of the country. So if you really need help, you need likely only ask about 10 people around you before finding what you need. Within reason, of course. Number 1. The power of Bollywood. When you think about movies and big blockbuster productions, you no doubt think of Hollywood, and for good reason. But if you're looking for the most production out of a movie center in the world, you actually have to go to India and Bollywood. That's right, Bollywood makes the most movies every single year. Yes, they're way over the top, and many would argue that they don't even come close to the quality of American or even other international films, but you can't deny the people what they want. And if the people want Bollywood films, India is going to deliver. Have you ever been to India? Tell us about your travels in the comments below, and take care.